It needs to be family-friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
This is the Sports Fix. What is your name?
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or is dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Dude, what do you want?
Well, it's this rug I have. It really tied the room together.
We are not a show to be swept under the rug. We are a show to be heard.
It's the Sports Fix.
Welcome back, man. This is way officially the longest episode of the Sports Fix. At least this version of the show. It's the longest we've ever gone as we're over the 3-hour mark. It was an incredibly busy weekend. A lot of stuff to get into here. The Ray Rice thing just takes it into a whole nother arc of stories to talk about. Thanks to John McMullen and Dan Wismar for being with us. LG called in earlier, Big Bob, all you guys that have talked with us throughout the show. Ryan Ruiz had a point there. I was looking in the chat room during the last break there that Justin Gilbert just had a bad day all the way around, toasted every way possible. Boy, you talk about coaching him up. That one, they better coach him up, man, because, to me, a first round cornerback should not look that lost. He can look lost from time to time. Like, that stuff happens, but you can't look that lost. All of us were shocked when Gilbert went where he did. Denard, a couple of other guys that people had rated higher that went 10, 20 spots later in the draft, and I just, but whatever. Like, I'm a bit like, I saw Vashon use the Leon McFadden comparison, which should be like a 4-letter word when you talk about cornerbacks. But I don't know if I go that far, but you shouldn't be this unprepared when you're a top 10 cornerback taken in the draft. I really hope that they can coach him up. They got a ton of depth back there. Hopefully it's not just there to fill spots on the roster. Hopefully some of those guys can be passing some things along to him, because where I was going with this is not just in the game, the coverage and all of that stuff, but Ryan with a great point. He got toasted on the fake punt, which really, there's an underrated play in the game because the Browns defense had just come up and took care of business when they needed them, and then boom, they hit you with the fake punt, and Gilbert just got smoked there, left a wide open deal, and that changed field position on the game, which played itself out at the end. So that's a good job there by Ryan pointing that out, because that was key. That really was the deep. Really in the second half, for as bad as they got toasted in the first half, in the second half until crunch time, they got you every stop that you wanted until the end. And I hate to use the phrase, that's so Cleveland, but as Dan said earlier, that is so the Cleveland Browns to have that last drive go the way it does. And even then, one play, it's not even one drive, one play, one stop, perhaps none of that happens. And instead you slip, and down goes your guy, Gilbert, and there goes your catch, and it's in field goal range, and the game is over. And we're sitting here going, man, it's a moral victory, but not the one that counts on the paper. But I really do. I see more of it out of it than that. But we'll see what happens, how they bounce back. You come home and get blown out by the Saints, then we're having a different conversation next Monday. So it's how you read and react and bounce back to this that's going to determine where you go with it. But Justin Gilbert, a big work in progress there at cornerback. I definitely agree with you guys for sure. So, all right, guys, we'll talk more about tomorrow. Tomorrow, actually, we'll talk about tonight's final Monday Night Football games. We'll talk about the Browns, the latest with Ray Rice and all of that with Dr. Football Bill Checkus. He joins us on Tuesdays as usual. We will recap whatever the final score is here with the Indians, as them and the Angels still doing their thing here. I'll get you an update on the score. Tribe continuing to work their way back in this game. I've got 6-3 now, the latest Indians score with, well, it looked like they had the potential here to make it a whole lot more with the Cubs unable to get more in that situation. I'm sorry I don't have the specifics for you, but I'm not watching the game. I'm watching the game cast. Indians add another run in the bottom of the sixth. It is now 6-3, heading into the top of the seventh inning. Final 3 innings to go. Trout, Pujols, and Kendrick, 2, 3, and 4 in the middle of that Angels order coming up for the Angels here. And they'll be facing, well, right now Zach McAllister's on the hill, but I don't know. There may be a pitching change coming for the 7th inning. So we'll talk about that tomorrow with Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com, and we'll talk to him about all the latest and get you a full preview on the Minnesota Twins, as that series is next up for the Cleveland Indians after today. All right, guys, let's see. One thing I wanted to get into before we call it a day, and you know what? We can get more into this tomorrow, but coming out of Atlanta and the news with the Hawks that one of the majority owners, Bruce Levenson, is putting the Hawks up for sale. This is a fallout of the post-Donald Sterling era here in the NBA, and this was actually self-reported. When you read now more details coming out about how this was discovered, actually, you talk about comedy of errors. There it is right there. It involves Danny Ferry, too, former general manager for the Cavaliers as well. But apparently, it's part of it. It's a two-part thing. The way this came out is the actual email that caused the entire circumstances that we're talking about and is going to lead to the controlled sale of the Atlanta Hawks here to another owner was because of an email that Levenson had sent out to the co-owners and some other people that work with the team about the fan base in Atlanta, and he talked about the racial breakdown of the fan base there and how it's 70% African American as far as everybody that's at the games. He made some comments about their financial status, how he didn't think there were enough financially high, well-off African Americans, enough of the society to be the majority of that fan base, and he felt that the 70% was driving away some of the white upper class fan base that doesn't feel comfortable in an environment so heavily African American. That was the gist of his comments, but the way it came out was a little bit of a comedy of errors here with Danny Ferry, as apparently there was, and this involved Luol Deng also, so a couple of Cleveland ties here, but during the process of targeting Luol Deng for the free agency for the Hawks here, apparently in the actual scouting report, and I don't have the comment, and so far I have not seen the actual comment yet, but apparently in the scouting report for the Atlanta Hawks about Luol Deng was a racial slur or some type of a racial remark about Deng specifically. Well, when Danny Ferry was on the conference call with different people reading some of their internal targets for free agency, they never edited the comment that was made. So he made this, I guess they claim it, offensive and racist description of Luol Deng. He apparently read it non-brain to mouth. He read it while he was reading the report, and somebody that was in the meeting said, this is absolutely not appropriate. This word should not have been used. That led to the circumstances within all of this that has brought the email to light, and Levenson had no choice but to self-report himself, because if he didn't, it was coming to light no matter what. And it turned out that the Hawks hired an Atlanta law firm to do a giant investigation internally on all of this, especially because pot kettle black, Levenson was one of the more vocal owners against Donald Sterling when that situation went down a few months ago. So all of this ties into the sale now of the Atlanta Hawks, and that will now be the next franchise, 2 of them in the course of a couple of months that are now being sold here. The estimated value by Forbes for the Atlanta Hawks, $425 million. Let's see. The Milwaukee Bucks were a $405 million franchise that sold for $550 million. The Clippers were a $575 million franchise that sold for $2 billion. So I'm guessing the Hawks, if Forbes has got them at $425 million, I would say that's easily a $650 million sale, maybe $600 million sale. I would guess that the sale ends up being somewhere in around the $650 million range for the Atlanta Hawks there. But once again, I mean, look and how quickly this came out, and he knew. See, and this is right about what I was talking about earlier with them ignoring the videotape of Ray Rice. Like, you have to know it's going to come out. If it's out there, it's going to come out. That's why the Hawks had no choice. Do you think this guy wanted to call Silver and say, I got to sell my team. Here's what you're about to find out, and lay it out there? No. If he could have covered it up, of course he would. It was an internal email that 2 years ago, 10 years ago, definitely would have never came to light. 2 years ago, it probably would have. But 10 years ago would have never even come to light. And today he knew this thing's out here. It's going to come to light. So if I don't take care of it now, it's coming out on its own. So he knew he was done either way. And that's what I meant with that Ray Rice footage. Like, if you know it's out there, then just tell people about it, because you're not going to keep anything hidden in 2014. You might be able to keep it hidden for a little bit, but you're not going to keep it hidden for a long time. And for those of you that wondered, some of the comments that he had made in the letter, it was I don't know, I see Vashon in the chat room saying he didn't think that it was racist. I mean, it was right on that line, and I could see where it makes some people uncomfortable. And in the environment that the NBA is currently acting in, I can see where they go in that direction. But I mean, a lot of it, it's funny because there's no way to even have this discussion without irrational people taking what you say and running with it in the opposite direction of what you meant. So I probably shouldn't even have this conversation if we can't have it rationally. And I just don't believe that nowadays you can. Yeah, most people can have common sense, but there's always an idiot in every bunch. But, again, hard to rationalize it without taking it into a direction. This conversation has no interest in going. But the points that he made, I see Vashon in the chat room. Yeah, the points that he made, the points that, and a lot of business owners would have said the same thing, and would have said just, I think that it's the highly sensitive environment that we're in that takes it over the top. He made statements in the letter saying Southern whites were not comfortable, in his opinion, being in an arena where they were in minority. He's been open with the executive team about these concerns. He likes the white cheerleaders, and while he doesn't care what color the artist is, what he would prefer that the music be familiar to a 40-year-old white guy, to a 50-year-old white guy, season ticket demographic. I am balked when every fan picked out of the crowd to shoot contests are black. I have even complained that the kiss cam is too black. And see, now at that point you're crossing lines, and there's where you go too far. What I do understand, and this is what I meant. You gotta be rational. And this is what I meant. You gotta be as a businessman. I get his point about targeting your demographic. What I mean by that is, if you know that is 70% of your season tickets are sold by middle-aged white guys, and you do want to target the music that you play. And in Target does not mean cater to. It does not simply mean focusing on your target demographic, while also creating an environment while comfortable and invigorating and all of that, invigorate everybody that's involved. So I get his point there. That's involved. I get his point there. You own restaurants, and the majority of the restaurants come in are 14 years old. You're going to want to hear your music. You're